Hi, welcome to the Leverage Living podcast. This is the intro episode with Ryan and Bryce. So we're going to take you today through what the concept is behind our brand, a little bit about both of our backgrounds and what we hope to accomplish with this project. So Leverage Living, the idea came to us essentially, or the concept is based around how we can leverage relationships, time, and or money to achieve asymmetrical results financially or in life. So that idea originated from conversations Bryce and I have had over the past several months. We speak together a lot about investing, and we talked about launching this project to essentially share some of the things that we've been discussing ourselves.
Yep, I'm really looking forward to getting started on this project with you, Ryan. And like you said, is a perfect intro. We have these conversations almost daily. We go through stock market things, big news, and just work through what we want to do, what we want to accomplish in life, and how we're going to go about doing it. Yeah. So I think we're just going to start just telling a background about ourselves and getting to the main point of the podcast. So a little bit about me. Right now, I am studying to be a doctor of chiropractic. I graduated from the University of North Dakota with my kinesiology and exercise science degrees. While going to school at UND, I worked in a gym for 3 years where I got to know a lot of the members in like a really, not intimate way, but like a serious way. They tell you things that you like wouldn't hear until you're a personal trainer. So talking to them, it really got my mind going. It was like, I want to help people better their lives on a day-to-day basis, get them healthier, get them wealthier, hopefully, and go from there. So when I started chiropractic school here, and Ryan and I just started having these conversations through text over and over, and we just thought of this podcast, and it'd be a really good way to communicate with hopefully thousands of listeners at some point about what we talk about and how we do what we do. So,
yeah. Bryce,
yeah.
So you shared a little bit about your educational background. So obviously you didn't go to school to learn specifically about finance or investing, which I think is actually a really good, different perspective to bring to this podcast. So can you tell us just a little bit about, I want to learn more, and I think our listeners would want, our one listener, will want to learn more about your financial journey. So growing up, was investing or financial wellness, was that an active topic you learned in the household from your immediate family or parents?
Absolutely not. Growing up, I always had the ability to, when I received money doing household chores or small jobs and whatever I saved up, I was free to spend that money how I wanted to. I was never taught, even in high school, like you're not really taught this stuff at all.
No.
So, having that ability to kind of learn from what I did in the past. And it's kind of funny because you think about it now, you're like, oh, I wish I would have saved back in high school. I wish I would have saved all that money up. Like, what would it be now? But that's part of the journey, I mean, you start small and you learn from your mistakes, and not that they're mistakes. I mean, everybody spends money, and it's a learning process. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and my family financial background.
Sure.
Nothing too crazy, but yeah, I'm just getting into it now. I'm pretty new to it. I'd say about March is when I started to get serious about it. So what about you? Did you?
I would say our backgrounds and our upbringings in a financial sense are very similar. I came from what would be considered probably a blue collar family, paycheck to paycheck mentality. So there wasn't a lot of financial education or conversations in the household outside of, it's not fun to open up mail because it's bills. So that's what I was exposed to growing up. And I experienced firsthand how poor financial decisions can really have a negative outcome, not only on your financial livelihood, but on relationships and your mental well-being. So I'd always kind of thought of the why behind what goes into finance and investing and being financially successful, and what's creating the differences between those households who are doing well and those who maybe aren't thinking about it and are having a bigger challenge. So that we kind of started with, it sounds like similar
For sure.
upbringings in the household. So you also talked a little bit about, you got started investing a little bit in March of this year, which was, if you're looking back now, is a great time. What kind of got you excited about taking a swing at it and trying it?
Well, what got me excited about it was, I wouldn't want to, it sounds bad to say it, but when the pandemic hit, all you heard was, oh, the stock market's plummeting, it's plummeting. I had no idea what that meant. I was like, why is it doing this? Why, like, what are the reciprocations of what's going on? So I started reading about it. And then I was like, oh, this will be a good time to get in if it's so low. I mean,
yeah.
Having no financial background, that's just 2 + 2 = 4. I mean, that's all it is. So that's what got me excited about it. And I started reading about it and I found it really interesting. I happened to cross a few YouTube videos, Tony Robbins to be specific. We've talked about this before, but he talked about the compound interest and how powerful that can be over time. So I decided this is a good time to start. So we did. What about you? You've been in it for 10 years
I started a little bit longer. And I was probably the catalyst for me getting into it was really, how my upbringing impacted me. So although, in our household, it wasn't a big priority, I did have exposure to some other individuals who were financially successful and thought about investing. And it was actually recommended to me to read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think I was about 14 years old. And that book, it's an impactful book for a lot of people. It's definitely one of the most popular kind of intro finance books, but it changed my thinking a little bit, and it really enhanced my desire to start pursuing financial success. So I learned, and I still feel this way, that financial education is what creates financial opportunity. So I don't think that financial opportunity shows up and knocks at your door. You learn to identify those opportunities, and the way you learn is through educating yourself. So that's kind of what got me initially excited.
So let me ask you this: what was your educational background?
That's a great question. Like I said, when I was 14, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I continued throughout high school, to have a passive interest in it. But I realized it seemed to me that college would be my opportunity to really explore this, because towards the tail end of high school, we're all getting to a point where we need to decide what we want to do. Do you want to be a fireman? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a dentist? And I had floated around different ideas, but the main thing I was thinking about is I want to learn how to be financially free, and I want to learn how to be successful investing. So I went to college at the Harvard of the Midwest. It's called University of North Dakota. Fortunately for me, they actually had a program it was an investments emphasis. So I received a lot of tremendous opportunities from that school. They had a student managed investment fund where we started out, it was almost $1 million, and us as the group of students, we got to make those decisions.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun because you have a lot of fun when there's upside, and it's not your money, so you have no downside. So
exactly. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, oh man, it goes down. Whoops.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You can still pay your rent at the end of the month. So that part's nice, but having that real experience where it's not play money and really getting out of the textbook theory and practicing it, that's what cemented my desire and passion to continue this journey and try to make smart financial decisions. I just realized that, if I had an assignment in a history class or even a marketing class, it'd be something where I'd try to procrastinate till the day before. But when it came to this specific investing experience, after the class, I could stay there for 4 hours and read and research, and I wouldn't feel like it was work. I mean, it was really something I was passionate about. So that's what really cemented my decision that this was going to be part of my journey.
That's awesome. Yeah, having these conversations that we always have, I can tell you're very passionate about it, and it's getting me into it a lot. And I think it's just super cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me
the
ask you,
yeah,
so you started in March. What kind of did you start with doing, and what's your experience been in this short time window? What have you been trading? What have you been reading? Tell us a little bit about that.
So, should we talk about TikTok, because that's how that's like
Yeah,
that's how the first trade
I
started.
think
I
you
was
introduced
watching.
me to TikTok. I thought it was for like 8-year-olds. So
Yeah, yeah. There's a financial side to it. We
yeah,
call FinTalk. um, Nikola Motors was the very first thing that like got me interested, because it was called a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company, or a blank check, or a shell
yep,
company, many different names for it. And I listened to this TikTok that kind of grazed over the very surface of it. So I did a deep dive into YouTube. It's like, what is this? The blank check company was called Vecto IQ. So it said if you invest in Vecto IQ, which initially starts at $10, that's what all these blank check companies do. Then you're able to keep that long term. So when it merges with a big company, in this case was Nikola Motors, then it'll just, your shares will go 1-to-1, and you'll just keep riding up as this stock gets more popular and more popular. And that's the initial one that got me interested, because she took off.
yeah.
She took off running quick. So I was like, oh boy, I like this.
That's a good first experience to build some more enthusiasm for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And it worked. I'm still
Yeah.
very enthusiastic about it.
I find it interesting too, based on what you just said. Our age gap isn't that big. I'm 31 next month, and you're, how old are you, Bryce?
Just turned 26 last month.
26.
Yeah.
So we got about 5 years in difference, but our learning styles are different as well. So you introduced me to TikTok. You've shown me some of the content on YouTube where I hadn't been as active in that space. So I think that I've learned a lot from you in that regard too, and the way you research things. So it's kind of cool having not only a difference in experience, but a different age and how we interact with different technological platforms.
And I think that's very true. And there's a lot of people that are coming up that are in our age group
Yeah,
and younger,
yeah,
that's how they find their information exclusively.
yeah,
Obviously, that's not the only thing I look at for
yeah,
financial, advice, or to look up stocks or anything like that. But a lot of people are, and that's, once hype gets going like that and word gets around, word of mouth, it spreads like wildfire, and you see the rises. You
yeah,
know,
definitely.
so yeah, it's very interesting. It's been a cool experience for sure. So,
And
what do you think about this podcast? What are we going to do going forward? What are the goals?
I'm going to do a weekly update, talking about the markets the week prior and some thoughts we have going forward. So we hope to give some actionable insight every week. Every month, we hope to do at least one deep dive into some specific topics. So Bryce just talked about SPACs, and that's something that we could do a whole nother episode about, the structure of those and how those work. And then we also want to do some interviews. We both are acquainted with different people that have been successful investing, that have also maybe started companies or done various investing, various forms of investing to gain their success.
All right. So Ryan, outside of college, what was some real world investing that you could talk to our viewers about?
Yeah. So I've had some experience now since the opportunities I've had in college, and my career path has always been in finance or banking in a number of different disciplines. So that's been a great opportunity to continue expanding my horizons and advancing my passion on investing overall. So throughout my journey, I've realized how important it is to leverage knowledge and the different tools that are available to you to learn, outside of simple textbooks or using YouTube, and also talking to other people who are successful in a certain field. So leveraging your money and leveraging relationships is incredibly important. I've had the pleasure of meeting and having meaningful relationships with a number of people who are really successful in a number of different disciplines. And from an investment perspective, I found all of those to be, of a significant return to me because they've changed the way I've thought about looking at certain investments, and they've also broadened my horizons. So overall, I've gotten really lucky along the way with, the educational path I chose and then some of the people I've met along the way. So I have a broad experience that I will bring to this project. I've been investing in stocks and bonds for over 10 years. I've also done options trading for over 10 years, and that's been buying options, selling options, utilizing various debit or credit spread strategies. So I can do some more in-depth options trading strategies. I've been a buy and hold investor in different cryptocurrencies since 2015. And I've also helped create some frameworks for cryptocurrency trading algorithms. Speaking more to the tangible assets, I also have experience with real estate investing. I got involved with that several years ago. So I purchased foreclosures, I've flipped houses. I currently own both single and multifamily real estate. So we do hope to touch on that too. I mean, not just the stock market investing or public markets, but also what you can do with real estate. So I also have some minimal experience with investing in private companies. So overall, it's pretty broad, and I hope to bring some of that experience to this project and have those discussions with Bryce. So I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. I've also had some successes. So that's what I hope to share with everybody. And one thing I learned is the best time, Bryce, you said earlier, you wish you would have just gotten started sooner. And I think a lot of us,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think a lot of us feel that way. So there's a Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is today. So if you're
Definitely.
listening and you haven't started doing any investing or research, now is a great time to start.
For sure. And I am just willing to learn, and I've already learned a lot from you. We've talked about all these options trades, and we've got into that in a lot of detail. And having these conversations, we can recreate these conversations for our viewers to learn the same way that I did and go from there. And I think it'll be a very good growing experience for both me, you, and our viewership.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I hope that we grow an engaged fan base or viewership that can maybe poke holes in some of the ideas that we're sharing, or send some suggestions to us, because
offer a new perspective in general.
Yeah. We have strong opinions, but we're easily swayed. So if we see a different perspective or tidbit of information, we would love to just be as successful as possible with whatever information is available. So we hope this is an engaging podcast with the viewership.
Definitely. So with that being said, you guys, be sure to like and comment. And girls. Send questions to @LeverageLiving Gmail. We'll get back to you, and we'll answer those in future podcasts. We look forward to, like Ryan said, engaging with you guys and answering questions. So LeverageLiving@Gmail, and then like and share with all your buddies. Put it on Facebook. Tweet it. Instagram? You put it on Instagram?
Put it on Insta.
You can
do
a
TikTok
that,
of it.
We'll take a look.
Yeah.
Right, Ryan, I think this is a good little intro.
Yeah.
Gave us a good background, and
it was a lot of fun to share, and I'm excited to get started with some real content. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you with our first weekly update.